This is a description of the course syllabus for English 10. In this, we'll discuss what you're going to be studying this year, how we're going to go about doing that, how you're going to be graded, and what our classroom policies and procedures are. The course description, these are the things you're going to be studying this year. The theme for the overall year is called Critical Response and Stance. These are your responses, your reactions to things that might happen, and the topics we're going to be discussing, how you feel about certain topics, etc. The first unit that we're going to study is titled The Power of One. In that Power of One unit, we're going to be reading The Crucible, which is a play, and then you will be doing a newspaper project on that. The second unit is called Taking a Stand, where we study rhetoric, and you'll be making an argumentative speech and a research paper on a famous rhetorical speech. That'll wrap up the first semester. The second semester, our major theme is relationships. The major novel you're going to be reading is called Of Mice and Men, and then you'll be doing an American Dream project on that. In between that and The Pursuit of Happiness, we also have a small music video unit where we cover poetry and you work with the poetry in a music video. Our fourth unit is called The Pursuit of Happiness, and what that means to you and what that entails for you. And in that we read the true story, the novel called Into the Wild, and depending on time, we possibly will have time for a project called a raft project. In between all of these units, we'll have poetry, we'll do essays, research paper writing, all types of things, grammar lessons, all within each of these units. So unlike freshman year when everything was, there was a poetry unit, a short story unit, a novel unit, a play unit, we have a lot of these things intermixed into all of the units this year. The methodology is how we're going to go about doing things in here. This is the classwork, what you guys are going to be doing. You'll have quizzes, tests, daily work, and projects. Those all added together will equal a semester grade. You don't have a lot of tests in here, maybe one or two a marking period. Just in case tests aren't your strong suit, then your test grades won't really bring you down that much as long as you're getting your daily work in, you're reading and caught up with where you're supposed to be reading, and you're working and putting some effort into your projects. That would help boost your grades if your test grades were low. On that note though, if you are not completing some of your daily work, a lot of your daily work is not worth a lot of points. It maybe is 5 points for an assignment, 10 points for an assignment. But if you're not doing those, a couple of assignments will start to add up quickly and your grade will start to drop quickly. A lot of times students will come running to ask why their grade is so low, and it's simply because they haven't done a couple of the small point assignments. Not doing those assignments will catch up with you quickly. They're not busy work. There's nothing for a completion grade. So those daily assignments, even though they're worth 5 or 10 points, actually measure the content standard that we're working on. So it's important to show that you can do well with that. On Fridays, we have SSR every week. We'll talk more about that separately because there's a whole handout and discussion on that. You will do quite a few things on the computer, some papers, editing, some assignments, definitely your projects, some poetry. So you have to make sure that you will have time in class to work on these things, but if you have any technology issues, those have to be addressed immediately. For example, if you have a week to work on a project, you cannot come in the day that it was due to explain that you didn't have ink in your printer or you ran out of paper last night or something happened with your technology and you could not complete that assignment. You have a whole week to get that printed and taken care of, so don't wait till the last minute and do it. If you don't have your work done when you have time like that to complete it, you get a 0 for that project. No late work will be accepted unless there's some kind of medical or family emergency. So it's important to keep up with all your homework, get it done on time, especially if you're absent or you have school-related absences for extracurriculars and things like that. Just make sure you're staying on top of that stuff and getting your work done on time. There is no extra credit work at the end of a marking period or a semester to help boost your grade. So it's important to stay on top of all those assignments and everything as you get them. This is how you're going to be graded, your evaluation. It says everything that's evaluated is a Common Core standard. Like I said, there's no busy work. Even if it's a small daily assignment, it's measuring some standard that you're supposed to be learning as a sophomore. Failure to complete these assignments dramatically affects your grades. We discussed that on the previous slide. Included are your participation points. You'll earn participation points periodically throughout the marking period depending on what we're doing. For example, if we're reading a play and you have a part in the play, which all students will, you would get points for reading your part. If we're having group discussions and you're working within a group, you would get points for participating, for staying on track when we have work time, staying focused. Coming to class prepared. If you have something as simple as a pencil, you didn't forget your paper and your assignment, all those things are how you're going to earn those participation points. And like I said, you'll see those periodically pop up throughout the marking period in PowerSchool, depending on what we're doing. Some marking periods, you'll have more participation points than other marking periods, depending on what the unit is focused on. So these are our classroom rules. You're responsible for all work, whether you're absent or present. If you are absent and you missed a day of work, please do not come to me at the beginning of class to ask me what you missed the previous day or did you miss anything, because I'm going to tell you to sit down. I can't discuss that with you right now. Try to, at the end of every hour, we should have a few minutes. At that time, try to get your assignments from me. Or 7th hour is my prep this year, so you could try to come see me 7th hour. You get 1 day for every day you're absent to make up work. That's a Kingsford High School policy. So don't wait till we're 3 or 4 days down the road after that assignment and I'm collecting it and you say you forgot to get that because you were absent that day. That is your task, to get that assignment the day you get back or even before you leave if you know you're going to be absent, just so you can get it turned in a timely fashion. Regardless, whether you were absent or not, or you're trying to submit it late, once I grade papers and pass them back to the class, it is too late for you to turn in that assignment. And that usually takes a couple days, so you have the time to get it made up. Just make sure you do get it made up, you don't forget about it, and say that you were absent. Of course, all KHS rules, including the absence and tardy policy, no food or drink in the classroom unless it's a clear water bottle. On the third tardy, you would get issued a Saturday school by the office. Our specific classroom rules remind you to come with a book, a pencil, folder, and agenda. Always have something to write with and paper. You have to be in your seat when the bell rings. This is an important one. You will need a folder for this class. You're responsible for keeping all papers that are passed back to you in your folders throughout the year. A lot of times we head into the third marking period and I'll ask you to take out a handout or a completed assignment, one that was graded and passed back to you in the first marking period, and I'll tell you to take that out because we're going to work with that. You will need to have that paper or you would get a 0 on that assignment. So it's important to keep in a folder all papers that are passed back to you, even if they're scored and graded already, as well as any handouts I give you throughout the entire year. Please don't be rude or disrespectful in the classroom. We have to have a lot of discussions. We want to feel comfortable having these discussions and contributing in class, so please be respectful to each other. And obviously no plagiarizing will be tolerated. This is an English class, so no copying homework from other students, no copying things off the internet and not giving credit. We'll discuss a little bit more about what is plagiarism as the year goes on, but for now, those explanations should suffice. Obviously, our last policy is our device policy. No devices are allowed in the classroom unless I tell you to bring them in because we're using them for a project or something. That includes headphones. If you bring headphones in here, I will take them and turn them into the office. No devices, please. So you can go over some of this in a little bit more detail in the course syllabus that I gave you. It covers things in a little bit more detail. This was just a highlight of some of the important stuff. So please read through that packet. Have your parents read through that packet. And if either of you have any questions, just make sure you reach out to me. Please sign it and have your parents sign it and return it by Friday of this week for your first 5-point assignment. So thanks, guys, and let's have a great year.